Let's talk about something that feels almost impossible. Emotionally detaching from someone you care about. Maybe it's a friend, a partner, a family member. Maybe you saw the red flags, or maybe you didn't. Either way, you're here because your heart feels tangled up in something that's no longer serving you. Detachment isn't cold. It's not cruel. It's not about turning off your emotions. It's about reclaiming them. It's about choosing yourself without feeling like you're betraying them. We are wired for connection. We are built to empathize, to care, to feel alongside the people we love. And while that is one of the most beautiful parts of being human, it can also be the thing that keeps us stuck. Because here's what happens. Somewhere along the way, we stop just feeling with people and start feeling for them. We pick up their burdens and carry them as if they are our own. We absorb their emotions, anger, sadness, fear, as if they are happening to us. Their problems become our problems. Their wounds become our responsibility to heal. It's not intentional. It's not conscious. But if we don't step back and recognize what belongs to us and what doesn't, we can drown in someone else's storm. The emotional sponge effect. Some of us are emotional sponges. We walk into a room and immediately absorb the energy in it. If a loved one is in distress, we feel it in our bones. If a friend is hurting, we carry that pain in our own chest. But here's the truth. Feeling deeply doesn't mean you have to take responsibility for fixing everything. There is a difference between being supportive and being responsible. Supportive looks like listening, holding space, and offering kindness. Responsible looks like believing you have to solve their problems, make them happy, or prevent their pain. And the hard truth, you cannot heal people who don't want to be healed. You cannot save people who aren't willing to save themselves. And when you try, you don't just lose them, you lose yourself. What's theirs, what's yours. So how do you separate what belongs to you from what belongs to them? Start by asking yourself these questions. Is this emotion mine, or am I picking it up from them? Am I feeling guilty because I actually did something wrong, or because I'm afraid of disappointing them? Do I truly want to do this, or do I feel obligated? Am I stepping in to help because I was asked, or because I can't tolerate seeing them struggle? If I weren't involved, would this still be their issue to figure out? If the answer to that last question is yes, then it's not your burden to carry. Letting go of the fixer mindset. If you are someone who naturally wants to help, fix, or rescue, this will be one of the hardest things to do. It will feel like you are turning your back on someone, like you are failing them, like you are being selfish. But let me tell you this, holding space for someone and carrying their weight are not the same thing. You can be compassionate without being consumed. You can be loving without losing yourself. You can be present without being responsible. The more you practice stepping back and recognizing what is yours and what isn't, the more peace you will feel. The emotional exhaustion, the anxiety, the feeling of being constantly weighed down, so much of that comes from carrying things that were never yours to hold in the first place. It's time to set them down. How to emotionally release what isn't yours. If you find yourself caught in this pattern, here's what you can do. Pause before reacting. When someone shares their struggle, take a deep breath before responding. Ask yourself, am I about to take this on as my responsibility? Use mental imagery. Picture their emotions as a backpack they are wearing. Now imagine yourself handing that backpack back to them. It's theirs to carry, not yours. Set verbal boundaries. Instead of immediately offering solutions, try saying, that sounds really tough. How are you thinking about handling it? This shifts the responsibility back to them. Remind yourself daily, write it down if you have to. I can love them without carrying this for them. Allow them to struggle. This is the hardest part, but sometimes the best way to love someone is to let them face their own battles. You can't grow for them. The freedom of letting go, recognizing what's yours and what's theirs, doesn't make you selfish. It makes you healthy. It makes you free. It allows you to show up in relationships with a full heart instead of an exhausted one. And most importantly, it gives you permission to live your own life instead of carrying the weight of someone else's. So today, start asking yourself, is this mine to carry? And if it's not, let it go. 2, set boundaries with compassion. If you've ever struggled to set boundaries, you're not alone. For many of us, the idea of saying no, creating space, or drawing a firm line feels uncomfortable, maybe even impossible. Why? Because we don't want to hurt people, because we don't want to seem selfish, because we've been taught that love means sacrifice, even when that sacrifice comes at the cost of our own well-being. But here's the truth. Boundaries are not barriers. Boundaries are bridges. They don't push people away. They create healthy space where love, respect, and connection can thrive. The problem is we often wait until we're completely depleted before we set them. We say yes until we're exhausted, and then we explode. We bend over backward, and then we resent. We ignore our own needs, and then we wonder why we feel bitter, drained, or invisible. Boundaries are not a punishment. They are an act of self-respect, and when done right, they are also an act of compassion for others. What healthy boundaries look like. Let's clear something up. Setting a boundary does not mean shutting people out. It does not mean withdrawing love. It does not mean building a wall and pretending you don't care. It means being clear about what you can and cannot give without guilt. Healthy boundaries sound like, I love you and I can't take this on right now. I care about you, but I need some time to recharge. I want to support you, but I can't be your only source of help. I respect your feelings, and I also need to honor my own. Notice the language? It's firm, but it's not cruel. It's clear, but it's not cold. Boundaries don't have to be harsh to be effective. They just have to be consistent. Why we struggle with boundaries. Let's talk about the resistance, because if setting boundaries were easy, we'd all be doing it, right? Here are a few common reasons why we hesitate. We feel guilty. We think saying no means we're failing people. We fear rejection. We worry that setting boundaries will push people away. We don't want to seem selfish. We've been conditioned to believe that good people always say yes. We're afraid of conflict. We'd rather avoid an uncomfortable conversation than risk upsetting someone. We think love means sacrifice. We've been taught that real love is about always putting others first. But here's what we forget. You can set boundaries and still be kind. You can say no and still be loving. You can take care of yourself without abandoning others. And in fact, if you don't set boundaries, you will eventually start resenting the very people you are trying to love. Boundaries are an act of love for yourself and others. Think about the relationships in your life, the people who constantly drain you, the ones who expect you to be available at all times, the ones who take and take without considering your limits. Now ask yourself, is this dynamic actually healthy? Am I showing up in this relationship as my best self? Do I feel valued or do I feel used? If you don't set boundaries, you risk turning love into obligation, connection into exhaustion, care into resentment, and no relationship, romantic, family, friendship can thrive under those conditions. When you set boundaries with compassion, you are not only protecting yourself, you are also creating healthier dynamics for the relationship itself. You are teaching others how to treat you. You are showing them what respect looks like. You are modeling self-care, which gives them permission to do the same. Boundaries, when set with love, create clearer, stronger, and more authentic connections. How to set boundaries without feeling guilty. If the idea of setting boundaries makes you uneasy, start here. Get clear on what you need. What drains you? What do you keep saying yes to that you really want to say no to? Where do you feel resentment building? What changes would make you feel more at peace? Communicate directly, not defensively. You don't have to over-explain or apologize. Use I statements to express your needs without blaming. Example, instead of "you always make me feel exhausted," say "I need some space to recharge." Be consistent. A boundary is only as strong as your ability to uphold it. If you say you need space, but then give in every time someone pushes, they will keep pushing. You teach people how to treat you based on what you allow. Prepare for pushback. Some people will not like your boundaries. That's okay. Their discomfort does not mean you are doing something wrong. Stand firm. The right people will respect you for it. Remember, boundaries are not just about others. They are about you. You are not responsible for managing other people's emotions. You are not obligated to be available 24/7. You do not need to earn rest, peace, or time for yourself. The strength of loving yourself enough to set limits. At the end of the day, boundaries are not about shutting people out. They are about keeping yourself whole. They are about creating relationships where you can show up fully rather than resentfully. They are about making sure that love doesn't come at the cost of your own well-being. They are about recognizing that you too deserve peace, respect, and care. So the next time you hesitate to set a boundary, remind yourself, loving someone does not mean losing yourself in them. And the people who truly love and respect you, they won't ask you to. 3, reframe the story you're telling yourself. We are storytellers by nature. Every day we tell ourselves stories about who we are, about our relationships, about what people think of us, about what we deserve. And the problem isn't just that we tell these stories. The problem is that we believe them, even when they aren't true. When it comes to emotional detachment, the stories we tell ourselves often sound like this. If I step back, I'm abandoning them. If I let go, it means I never really cared. If I stop trying, I'm a bad person. If I detach, I'm giving up on love. And these stories, they keep us stuck. They keep us tethered to relationships that drain us. They keep us entangled in guilt, obligation, and fear. They keep us from moving forward because we are convinced that holding on is the right thing to do. But what if those stories aren't true? What if the way you're seeing the situation is actually keeping you from healing? The power of reframing is the process of shifting the way you see something so that it no longer holds you back. It's not about denying reality. It's about looking at it from a healthier, more empowering perspective. Let's break down some common stories we tell ourselves when we struggle to emotionally detach, and how to rewrite them. Old story, if I detach, I'm abandoning them. New story, detachment is not abandonment, it is self-respect. One of the hardest things to accept is that you can love someone deeply and still need space from them. We think that walking away or even just stepping back is an act of cruelty, that if we truly cared, we would stay, fix, endure. But here's the truth. You can care about someone and still protect your peace. Abandonment is leaving someone with no support, no closure, no care. Detachment is recognizing when a relationship is hurting you and choosing to prioritize your well-being. They are not the same thing. You are not abandoning someone by refusing to be consumed by their chaos. You are not betraying them by choosing to heal. You are not failing them by stepping back and letting them take responsibility for their own life. And if they tell you otherwise, that's their fear talking, not the truth. Old story, if I stop trying, it means I never really cared. New story, letting go doesn't erase love. It just means I'm choosing myself too. We often believe that love and effort are the same thing, that the more we give, the more it proves we care, that if we walk away, it must mean our feelings were never real. But love is not measured by how much you endure. Love is not about sacrificing yourself for the sake of someone who refuses to meet you halfway. You can love someone and still acknowledge that the relationship is no longer good for you. You can wish them well and still know that you need to move on. Detachment does not cancel out love. It simply allows you to love yourself too. Old story, if I detach, I'm giving up on love. New story, love is not meant to be a prison. Real love should set you free. Many of us hold on to relationships not because they are good for us, but because we are afraid of what it means to let go. We see detachment as failure, as giving up, as proof that love wasn't strong enough. But real love doesn't require suffering. Real love doesn't keep you in a cycle of pain. Real love doesn't ask you to lose yourself. If a relationship is costing you your peace, your self-worth, your joy, that is not love. That is attachment. That is fear. That is conditioning. Reframing means recognizing that true love should feel safe, expansive, liberating, not like a fight for survival. If holding on is hurting you, maybe letting go isn't the loss you think it is. Maybe it's the freedom you never knew you needed. Old story, if I let go, I will be alone. New story, letting go makes space for something better. One of the biggest fears around emotional detachment is the fear of emptiness. If I let them go, who will I have? If I stop trying, what's left? If I walk away, what if I regret it? But here's something to think about. What if holding on is the very thing keeping you from the love, peace, and joy you deserve? What if that space you're afraid of isn't emptiness, but possibility? What if by releasing what no longer serves you, you're making room for something healthier, more fulfilling, more aligned with the person you are becoming? What if letting go isn't an ending, but a beginning? How to start reframing your story. If you feel stuck in old narratives that keep you attached to someone, try these steps. Identify the story you're telling yourself. What beliefs are keeping you from detaching? What fears come up when you think about stepping back? Question that story. Is this really true, or is it just a fear-based assumption? Would you say this to a friend in your position? Rewrite the story in a way that empowers you. Instead of, if I let go, I'll regret it, try, if I let go, I'll finally be free to grow. Instead of, if I detach, I'm selfish, try, if I detach, I'm showing myself the same care I show others. Practice new thoughts daily. The stories we believe are the ones we repeat the most. Speak your new truth to yourself until it becomes the one you live by. Final thought, you are allowed to change the story. If the story you're telling yourself is keeping you stuck, it's time to rewrite it. You are not abandoning anyone by choosing your own peace. You are not failing at love by recognizing when a relationship is no longer healthy. You are not alone. You are just making space for something better. And that is one of the bravest things you can do. So today, I invite you to reframe, to shift, to see detachment not as loss, but as a path toward healing. Because the moment you change the story, you change everything. We distract ourselves, we scroll mindlessly, we binge watch shows until 2 a.m., we drown ourselves in work and social media and relationships and anything that keeps us from having to feel what's really there. Because sitting with our emotions, facing them head on, that's terrifying. And when we're emotionally detaching from someone, whether it's a breakup, a friendship ending, or simply realizing we need to create distance, it can feel unbearable. The grief, the loneliness, the second guessing, the heartbreak. Everything in us screams for an escape, anything to make it hurt less. But Here's the truth. You cannot heal what you refuse to feel. Avoiding pain doesn't make it go away. It just buries it deeper. And buried pain has a way of showing up in places you never expect. It lingers in your body, turning into tension, anxiety, exhaustion. It shows up in your relationships, making you guarded, reactive, emotionally unavailable. It seeps into your self-worth, making you question your value, your choices, your ability to love again. Pain demands to be processed, and the only way to truly move forward is to sit with it, not numb it. Why we avoid emotional pain. First, let's acknowledge something. Avoidance is a survival instinct. Your brain is wired to protect you from suffering. When it senses pain, especially emotional pain, it looks for ways to shield you. So you develop coping mechanisms. Some might be obvious, like drinking too much or overeating. Others might be more subtle, staying too busy, always needing background noise, or jumping into a new relationship before you've healed from the last. Here's why we do it. We think avoiding pain will make it disappear. If I just keep myself occupied, it won't hurt as much. But pain doesn't disappear when ignored. It festers. We fear that if we let ourselves feel, we'll never stop hurting. If I start crying, what if I never stop? But emotions are temporary. They move through us if we let them. We were never taught how to sit with difficult emotions. We were told to stay strong. We were told to get over it. But healing isn't about suppressing pain. It's about allowing it to move through us. What it means to sit with the discomfort. Sitting with discomfort doesn't mean wallowing in pain forever. It means allowing yourself to feel what's there without rushing to escape it. It means acknowledging, yes, this hurts. Yes, I miss them. Yes, I feel lost right now. And instead of running from those feelings, you give them space. Because here's what happens when you let yourself feel instead of numbing. The emotions process and eventually lose their intensity. You gain clarity about what you really need. You stop repeating unhealthy patterns. You develop emotional resilience. The ability to handle discomfort without falling apart, how to sit with emotional pain without letting it overwhelm you. If you're used to numbing your emotions, this won't feel easy at first. But emotional pain isn't something to be afraid of, it's something to move through. Here are some ways to practice sitting with discomfort. One, name what you're feeling. Instead of pushing feelings away, acknowledge them. Say it out loud. Write it down. Tell a friend, I feel heartbroken. I feel lonely. I feel like I lost a part of myself. When you name an emotion, it loses some of its power over you. 2, breathe through the pain. Your body holds on to emotional pain. That tightness in your chest, that lump in your throat, that pit in your stomach, it's your body holding grief. Instead of tensing up, try this. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. Hold it for a moment. Slowly exhale, imagining the pain softening with each breath. Repeat. Breathing doesn't make the pain disappear, but it teaches you how to sit with it without panicking. 3, give yourself permission to feel without judgment. Your emotions are valid. You don't need to justify them. You don't have to rationalize why you're sad. You don't have to convince yourself it's not a big deal. You don't have to shame yourself for feeling attached. You are human, and humans feel things deeply. 4, to express what you're feeling in a safe way. Sometimes emotions need a physical release. Cry, yes, really. Crying is a form of processing. Journal. Write the unfiltered truth. No one else has to read it. Move. Go for a run. Dance in your room. Stretch. Get the energy out. Create, paint, play music, cook something, express it in a nonverbal way. Pain that isn't expressed gets stored. Find a way to let it move through you. Find yourself that this feeling is temporary. It might feel like the sadness, the grief, the ache will last forever. It won't. No emotion, no matter how intense, lasts forever. You are not stuck here. You are moving through it. And every time you sit with the discomfort, instead of numbing, you become stronger, more self-aware, more emotionally resilient. What happens when you stop numbing? When you stop numbing your emotions, you start to heal for real. You stop repeating toxic cycles. You stop getting trapped in the same kinds of relationships. You stop feeling like a prisoner to your own pain. Instead, you become someone who can sit with discomfort without letting it break you. And that is power. Because the truth is, pain does not destroy you. Avoiding it does. So sit with it, breathe through it, let yourself feel, because when you stop numbing, you start living again. We often think of emotional detachment as a dramatic, all-at-once transformation. We imagine waking up one morning, suddenly free of all the pain, the attachment, the longing. But that's not how it works. Letting go happens in small moments, in everyday choices that over time create real emotional freedom. It's in deleting an old text thread so you stop rereading it at night. It's in resisting the urge to check their social media when loneliness creeps in. It's in choosing not to replay the memories like a sad movie in your mind. It's in whispering to yourself, I release this, even when a part of you still wants to hold on. Letting go isn't a one-time decision, it's a practice. And the more you practice, the lighter you become. Why? Small acts of letting go matter. When you try to let go all at once, it can feel overwhelming. The attachment feels too big, the emotions too deep, the fear too strong. But when you break it down into small, manageable steps, it becomes possible. Small acts of letting go build emotional resilience. Small acts of letting go rewire your brain to release attachment. Small acts of letting go remind you that you have power over your healing. And slowly those small acts add up until one day you wake up and realize you don't feel as heavy anymore. How to start practicing small acts of letting go if you feel stuck in attachment. Start with these small intentional steps. 1, create physical distance. Sometimes letting go starts with your environment. Remove reminders. That sweatshirt that still smells like them, that playlist you made together, those pictures saved on your phone. Keeping these things around keeps the emotional attachment alive. Consider putting them away, or better yet, letting them go. Change your space, rearrange your room, move your furniture, introduce something new. Physical changes can help signal a fresh start to your brain. Limit digital access. If you find yourself checking their social media or rereading old messages, set a boundary. Block, mute, delete. Whatever protects your peace. Small action. Delete one thing today that ties you to the past. 2, let go of the need for closure. One of the hardest things to accept is that not everything ends with a clear resolution. You may never get the apology you deserve. You may never get an explanation for why things ended the way they did. You may never fully understand why they hurt you or why they left. And waiting for that closure, it keeps you tied to the past. Real closure isn't something you get from another person. It's something you give yourself. Small action, write yourself the closure you need, say what you wish they had said, and then let it be enough. 3, practice emotional detachment in the moment. Letting go doesn't mean you'll never think about them again. It means that when you do, You don't let the thought consume you. When their name pops up in your mind, when a song reminds you of them, when you catch yourself replaying old conversation, pause, take a breath, gently redirect your focus. Instead of spiraling into memories, shift your attention to the present moment. Instead of indulging the thought, tell yourself, I release this. I choose to focus on me. Instead of reaching out to them, reach inward to your own healing. Small action. The next time you find yourself dwelling, pause and shift your focus back to the present. 4, release the what ifs and if onlys. One of the biggest barriers to letting go is holding on to imaginary possibilities. What if they change? What if I had tried harder? If only I had done this differently, maybe things would be better. But you are not living in an alternate reality. You are living in what is. The truth is, if something was meant for you, it would have stayed. If someone truly wanted to be in your life, they would be. Clinging to what ifs keeps you stuck in the past instead of embracing the present. Small action. When you catch yourself thinking, what if? Stop and say, this is not my reality. I choose to accept what is. 5, develop a letting go ritual. Sometimes we need a symbolic act to mark the end of something, a way to say, I release this, I move forward now. Here are a few simple letting go rituals you can try. Write a letter, then burn it. Write everything you want to say to them, your love, your anger, your sadness. Then destroy it. Let the flames or the water carry it away. Release something into nature. Write their name on a leaf and let the wind take it. Release a flower into the ocean. Bury a note in the ground. Let nature absorb your grief. Cut a symbolic tie. If you have something that represents the relationship, a bracelet, a gift, an old note, consider letting it go. It doesn't have to be dramatic, just intentional. Small action. Choose one small ritual to release some of your attachment today. 6, choose one act of self-love every day. Letting go isn't just about removing someone from your life, it's about rebuilding yourself. So each day, choose one small act of self-love. Make your favorite meal, take yourself on a solo date, start a new hobby. Write down one thing you love about yourself. Meditate, journal, or practice gratitude. Each act of self-love is a step toward emotional independence. Small action. Do one thing today that is just for you. Letting go is a daily choice. You won't wake up one day and suddenly feel nothing, but every day in small ways you will feel lighter, you will feel stronger, you will feel yourself returning to you, and one day, without even realizing it, you will look back and see how far you've come. So today, start small. Practice one small act of letting go, and trust that over time, those small acts will lead to big healing, because you are not losing anything, you are making space for something better. And that is worth letting go for. I know it might not feel like it right now. I know it might feel like the sadness will never fade, like the ache will never stop. I know that, trusting in an unseen future, one where you no longer feel this heaviness, feels impossible. But listen to me. You have survived every heartbreak, every disappointment, every loss, every difficult moment in your life up until this point. And you will survive this too. Why it's so hard to believe you'll be okay when we're deeply attached to someone. Detaching can feel like losing a part of ourselves. Who am I without them? What if I never feel this way again? What if I never find this kind of connection again? What if this emptiness is permanent? Your brain is wired to resist change, especially when it comes to relationships. We are creatures of attachment, comfort, and familiarity. Even when something isn't good for us, even when we know we need to let go, the idea of stepping into the unknown is terrifying. That's why it feels so much easier to hold on, to replay the memories, to wonder if you made the right decision, to fantasize about what could have been. But here's the truth. Letting go isn't the end of you. It's the beginning of something new. You may not be able to see it yet, but trust that there is a version of you in the future, stronger, wiser, freer, who is grateful that you chose to move forward. How to start trusting that you'll be okay. Trust isn't something that appears overnight. It's something you build one step at a time. One, look back at everything you've already overcome. Think about the hardest moments of your life, the losses, the heartbreaks, the disappointments. At the time, they probably felt unbearable. You probably wondered, how will I ever get through this? And yet you did. You are still here. You have healed from things you once thought would break you. You have survived moments that at the time felt impossible. This is just another moment. And just like before, you will get through this one too. Action step, write down 3 past challenges you overcame. Remind yourself that you are stronger than you think. 2, recognize that healing is not linear. There will be days when you feel strong, like you're finally moving forward, and then out of nowhere, something triggers you. A song, a memory, a dream. Suddenly the grief rushes back in and you feel like you're right back where you started. But you're not. Healing doesn't happen in a straight line. It's messy, it's full of ups and downs. One bad day does not erase your progress. One moment of weakness does not mean you haven't grown. Keep going, keep trusting. You are healing even when it doesn't feel like it. Action step, the next time you have a hard day, remind yourself, this is just a moment, it will pass. 3, shift from I can't do this to I am learning how to do this right now. It might feel like you don't know how to be without them, like you don't know how to move forward. But instead of telling yourself, I can't do this, try saying, I am learning how to heal. I am learning how to love myself without their validation. I am learning how to be okay on my own. Because you are learning, and learning takes time. Action step, the next time you catch yourself thinking, I can't do this, replace it with, I am learning how to do this. 4, surround yourself with people who remind you of your strength. You don't have to do this alone. Lean on the people who remind you who you are, the ones who see your worth even when you can't, the ones who help you laugh, who listen without judgment, who remind you that life is still full of love and joy. If you don't feel like you have those people, seek them out. Find a support group, talk to a therapist, join a community of people who understand what you're going through. You were never meant to heal in isolation. Let others hold space for you when it feels too heavy to carry alone. Action step, reach out to someone today, let them in. 5, actually start imagining a future where you are free right now. It might be hard to picture a future where you no longer feel this pain, but try, even if it feels distant, even if it feels blurry, close your eyes and imagine a version of you who wakes up feeling light again, a version of you who no longer checks their phone hoping for a message, a version of you who feels whole on your own. This version of you is real. And every small act of healing brings you closer to them. Action step. Journal about the version of you who has fully healed. What do they look like? How do they feel? What do they love about their life? 6, remind yourself that the pain is temporary, but your growth is permanent. Right now it hurts, and it's okay that it hurts. But this pain, it will fade. It always does. And what will be left? Your strength, your wisdom, your ability to love again, this time from a place of wholeness. The pain is temporary, but the person you are becoming, that is forever. You are closer than you think. One day, sooner than you realize, you will wake up and feel light again. You will laugh without the sadness lingering underneath. You will think of them without the sting of longing. You will find love not in someone else, but in yourself. And when that day comes, you will look back and realize you were always going to be okay. You just had to trust the process. So take a deep breath, keep going. You are healing even now, and I promise you, you are going to be okay. This version makes this section powerful, emotional, and deeply reassuring. Let me know if you'd like any refinements. Letting go of someone you are deeply connected to is one of the hardest things you will ever do. It requires strength, vulnerability, and a level of self-trust that may feel impossible at times. But here's the truth. You are already doing it. With every moment you choose to recognize what's yours and what's theirs, with every boundary you set with compassion, with every story you reframe in your mind, with every time you sit with the discomfort instead of numbing it, with every small act of letting go, and with every time you remind yourself that you will be okay, you are healing. It won't happen all at once. Some days will feel heavier than others. But if you keep choosing yourself, if you keep showing up for your own healing, one day you'll look back and realize that the weight is gone. And in its place, a stronger, wiser, more whole version of you. So keep going. Keep trusting. Keep letting go. Not because you have to, but because you deserve to be free.